Last time on Four for Soaring.
We continued our series on The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, talking about advancing a just cause, which is the first of 5 essential things to being an infinite-minded leader and to playing the infinite game. Today we're going to talk about the second, which is building trust. And I'm coming to you from a little bit different environment than my normal environment. I probably have a little different video and sound quality than my office recording studio. So any apologies for any misses there. But essentially, I am not doing my day-to-day thing. I'm getting ready to go into a place and travel somewhere where I've been invited in because someone trusts me with a solemn moment in their lives. And this has happened a number of times, whether it is the eulogy for a funeral, whether it is to go visit someone who's ill in the hospital, or whether it is to perform a wedding ceremony, which I've done about 8 or 10 times now. And what strikes me about that when we're talking about building trust and building trusting teams and creating psychological safety is not that I have the skill to do the ceremonies or the funerals or the bedside. I tend to make mistakes every single time I do one of those things. It's really that I have shown up for folks, that I've built trust with them. And then when my desire to help or serve in these ways meets up with their need at a certain given time, that trust that I've built over time and that environment of psychological safety that I've created then allows them to invite me in, like we talked about last time, invite me into their lives, into this solemn moment, whatever it might be, and allows me to then serve and take part of that in a very meaningful, purposeful way. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about building trust today, and we're going to talk about what that looks like. So today we're going to actually talk a little bit about Simon Sinek's Infinite Game and how he says there's 5 essential ingredients to being an infinite-minded leader. Again, this time what we're talking about is the second of the 5 elements, and it is trusting teams. Sinek says a team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust one another. And I have a great story about this from just yesterday. I failed on a critical element of a project. Something set us back a little ways, and it was kind of crushing. And I think that on a team meeting, my boss was able to hear that. And she reached out to me afterwards. We don't usually talk on the phone except for our prescribed times because we're just too busy. So we message, etc. But she reached out to me, actually made a phone call to me yesterday just to see if I was okay, just to see how I was handling the challenge that had hit me and our team. And that is a moment when you could choose as a leader, as she did, to come in and support and build trust so that I could perform going forward better and more effectively. Or she could have chose that moment to say, I told you so. I tried to tell you that this was going to be potentially a challenge. Or she could have tried to, use this as a teaching moment to kind of just reinforce what I already knew and what I was already beating myself up about. But instead, she did not do either one of those things. As a matter of fact, she not only did that phone call to check on me and see how I was doing, later in the day, right before I left for this trip to go do the solemn occasion I was talking about, she called me up and told me I was getting an award for something I had done months prior. That is the kind of team I want to be a part of. That's the kind of team you want to be a part of, and that's the kind of leader that builds trust. So how do we make this practical for you? How do we make this something you can strive for? You might not be on a team like that right now. But what I want you to do is I want you to picture in your mind someone, it could be in any aspect of your life, maybe even hit pause on this video after I say this, and picture someone that you trust the most. Think about all of the qualities that they have that create that psychological safety and help you trust them. I gave you a couple of examples from my own life, and a couple of examples from the leader that I have, but think about your version of it. Think about what gives you trust, the kind of person that provides trust and psychological safety for you. Picture them in your mind. And then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to seek that kind of person in your different daily life, in your work. If you're not currently in a workplace that provides this, maybe seek out a different one, or seek out a different team inside of your work. Or if it is somewhere in your community, your church, your family, find the place where you can be in a trusting team, be part of a trusting team. And then the next thing I want you to do is figure out how you can provide trust for others in that same way. Again, thinking about that leader that is the ideal leader around trust for you. Think about how you can emulate that person's qualities and provide trust for others through serving, through building a trusting team. Whether you have a formal role or not, you can do this. You can be the leader that provides that trust. I invite you into the greater community, into our just cause here of mopping up the messiness. I invite you to subscribe, comment, join, use 4 for Soaring in your search, FOUR, the number 4, SOARING, and also look for us out on Linktree. Look at 4 for Soaring, FOUR, Thank you so much. I want to see you mop up the messiness in your leadership in your life, and I want to see you soar.